Welcome back to Seattle and the University of Washington. For Cal at 3-1 and Washington at 2-3. The Huskies' Quincy Pondexter expects a battle from the Bears.
I expect to see them coming out and fighting. You know, they're a great veteran team, and they're going to come out and play as best they can to dethrone the champions. You know, they want to be the Pac-10 champions this year. They are the preseason champions. So, what better way to justify what people believe they are by beating us? So we have a huge target on our backs, but they don't know that they have one on theirs too.
Washington will be ready for the Bears, and that crowd always alive. Washington is 11-1 at home with an 0-4 mark away from Heck Ed. We'll check out the starting lineup for Cal that Pondexter will see today. The most experienced lineup in the Pac-10. 4 seniors, and Moki is a rebounding sophomore. There is Mike Montgomery, the coach for California, 4-time Pac-10 Coach of the Year during 18 years at Stanford. And the lineup that he'll face from Washington, he knows will be in his face, rebounding, trying to get the ball out of the break. Speed from Thomas, Gaddy, Pondexter we talked about. Holiday is a great defender, and Brashears, the freshman, a redshirt freshman, very physical inside. Lorenzo Romar led Washington to their first outright title since 1953. Last year, he's done an excellent job. Great recruiter as well, and loves this Seattle marketplace.
This young man right there, Tyrese Brashears. Keep an eye on him, Steve. He's going to be key defensively, trying to bracket Jerome Randall, limit his penetration. He says he's ready because he goes against Vanoy Overton and, more importantly, Isaiah Thomas every day in practice. So he's used to having to deal with the small, quick guards coming off the high ball screen.
He did get in early foul trouble, and their Stanford victory as Washington broke a 3-game losing streak on Thursday with a 94-61 victory over Stanford. Meantime, California beat Washington State 93-88 to claim first place. But California getting off to a huge start. They made 13 of their first 15 shots and still only led by 4 at half.
We'll give credit to Washington State and their outstanding young freshman Reggie Moore battling back in that game. But those 4 seniors you talked about, of those 93 points against Washington State, those four seniors scored 89 of the 93 points in that game, which is just remarkable.
So you would think that Washington might have the edge because they have a deeper lineup, and perhaps they get to Cal in that second half.
Well, a big key for Cal today is that Mark Curry, Sanders, Friesen is available. He didn't play against Washington State, so they can only go about 7, 8 deep. Now, a little bit more depth in their roster, maybe 8, 9 deep, and Friesen going to play some limited minutes.
Washington and the home whites with the purple numerals. You've got California in the blue and gold. Randall, the point guard, at the attack, and Isaiah Thomas immediately picks him up with the man defense. Randall tried to float it out to Christopher. He's a great catch-and-shoot guy, and he nails his first 3.
That's a nice find by Jerome Randall, like he started off the game against Washington State. Abdul Gaddy, the freshman, has got to stay in closer contact with the shooter, Patrick Christopher.
This is Gaddy. He has played 2 great last games, but he's called for a palming violation. I didn't see that there, and he has had back-to-back excellent games at Arizona and then Thursday against Stanford, and that really pleased Coach Romar with the freshman who won't turn 18 until January 26, getting better every game.
Just a little bit of a hesitation on the dribble. I don't think he gained an advantage on the play. I think that the ref could have very easily have let that one go.
Boykin gives it off to Randall. Not only did he have 39 points on Thursday, but Jerome also had 9 assists, so he was responsible for 51 of his team's points. Christopher. Well, he rattles in the first 2, and this is a guy that gets hot. Watch out. He had 27 points in their 3 overtime win at Washington last year.
Well, that's the attitude you've got to take if you're Patrick Christopher. You know, you got to be like offended that you're going to put a 17-year-old freshman on me. All Pac-10 last year.
Shears misses. It goes off Pondexter out of bounds. I think the matchups are really going to be interesting. I know you were talking about Pondexter and Robertson. Thomas and Randall is a good one to watch. And who defends Patrick Christopher earlier? Well, that's going to be Justin Holiday, who had to cover Landry Fields and did a fine job on the all Pac-10 fields. Christopher, man, he has taken the shots early, and this time missing, but it's rebounded by Amoki.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's by orders of Mike Montgomery or by Patrick Christopher just saying, I'm going to make this freshman prove that he can play some defense at the Pac-10 level.
They call the personal foul on Amoki. That's his first. He's their energy guy, and his teammates call him O-board because he hits the offensive glass. He already has one offensive rebound and got a personal foul going over the back of Brashears that time.
Little UCLA ball cut offense run by Washington with some tweaks. And here's one of them posting Quincy Pondexter on that weak side.
Pondexter misses, rebounding. Holiday back up, no. And it will be controlled by California. So Washington hasn't scored in more than 2 minutes. They didn't score a field goal in the first 7 minutes and 17 seconds at Arizona and lost by 17.
And a big reason for that, going inside a little too much to Matthew Bryant Omni, who's coming into the game for Tyrese Brashear. So I mean, you got to remember, Quincy Pondexter is the guy that you want to run your offense through, and he's got the kind of mental approach to the game where he's not going to force very many shots. He's going to, if anything, he doesn't take enough shots for my liking. So he's going to look to get other people involved. So he's a good guy to have at least touch the basketball almost every possession down the floor.
Brashear's coming out foul, and coming in is the junior from London, Matthew Bryant Ammoning. South Kent School in Connecticut. He was the Connecticut High School Player of the Year, and he grabs his first rebound. Thomas, so quick, moving to his left. The southpaw pulls back. Nifty pass by Gaddy inside.
Abdul Gaddy out of Bellarmine High School in Tacoma has really taken some knocks, especially early in the season for his lack of production. But he's done a nice job over the last 3 games, Steve, and really starting to find himself. Nice penetration, didn't have an outlet on the baseline, but Quincy Pondexter bailed out his teammate who was in trouble by moving without the basketball, making himself available in the paint.
And I really like the way Pondexter's teammates looked for him on Thursday.
Got to. He's your leader. He's the lone senior on this roster who plays the big-time minutes for Washington, and he's having himself just a terrific season. So you got to look for him.
Randall defended by Thomas.
Good job by Quincy Pondexter to fire out and prevent Jerome Randall from turning the corner.
Shot clock down to 13. Randall takes a look and fires in short. Cal gets it back. This is Boykin. Pondexter has it. They've got numbers, 3 on 2. Isaiah with the drive and layup.
Gives you an idea of the bullish kind of strength of Isaiah Thomas at 5'9", but let's call him 5'8". 5'8", 185, creates space for himself by using his body effectively inside.
And both Randall and Thomas average about 8 free throw attempts per game, so you'll see them try and get into the defensive gaps. Foul is called as Robertson will go to the line.
We talked about the strength of Isaiah Thomas right here. Just going to go inside against Patrick Christopher, and look at the space he creates. Knocks Christopher back about 3 steps, opens up the uncontested layup for Isaiah Thomas.
One of the things that the great coaches like Mike Montgomery or Lorenzo Romar teach is that jump stop. We don't see it in high school level, but we see it taught so well at the college level.
Yeah, and that's one of the old John Wooden staples, and Isaiah Thomas used it effectively in that circumstance.
5-5 ball game.
But Isaiah Thomas, interesting. Talking to him before the game, just wondering about his mental approach to defending Jerome Randall coming off a 39-point game, and if he's lost any sleep the last night, worrying about what he was going to do defensively. And he's like, hey, no, we're going to roll him out, let's play, and may the best man win. He had a real even-keeled approach to this game this afternoon, so you got to love that.
Robertson makes 1 of 2, so 6-5, and Cal by 1. Bears had that hot start. They took a 28-8 lead in the first 8 minutes at Washington State. But as we said, the Cougars rallied to cut it to 4 at the half. And that was an absolutely sizzling Cal team that hit 13 of their first 15 shots and their first 7 3-pointers.
Talked about the UCLA high post offense, which Washington runs. They use 1 guard out front instead of 2. Some of the differences, they look to hit the cutter in the corner, pass him the ball, and then get a ball screen corner like Quincy Pondexter did that time.
Knesevich defends Gaddy well, but picked off by Pondexter. And that's what they do so well. They had a couple of offensive rebounds there, did the Huskies.
Mike Montgomery, coach of Cal, stressed you got to keep these guys off the board. They will send 3, sometimes 4 offensive rebounders to the glass.
Knesevich being defended by Gaddy. And off the hand of Patrick Christopher and out of bounds. Timeout, 15:54 to play. Cal with a 1-point lead, and Cal's got their favorite players here early. Quincy and Isaiah. First place California by 1 over Washington, but as we take a look at the Pac-10 conference standings, yes, Cal has the lead, but there are 6 other teams who have 2 losses. And Lorenzo Romar is the coach for Washington. We asked him about the early crazy Pac-10.
Well, the unpredictability of it is very difficult. When the last couple of years we had 6 teams go to the NCAA tournament, and it was unpredictable in a sense, but you had an idea who kind of had a chance to come out on top. Right now, I could not tell you any team that's going to win any game in the days that the Pac-10 play, because it's so much parity at this point.
Lorenzo came up to me yesterday and said, we broke your record because I had made 5 predictions in the first 5 games that I saw in the Pac-10. I was wrong in all 5, and he said on Thursday, he said, don't pick us against Stanford. Don't pick us. I did, and Washington Huskies won.
Well, it reminded me to stay away from you in Vegas, and as the great Jeffrey Osborne used to sing, it takes separation to bring appreciation. And that's what Cal is trying to get right now this weekend, some separation from the pack.
Down low Pondexter, and it looked like Knesevich may have hooked Quincy.
Now this is interesting. Nikola Knesevich, who told me that Nikola is not really that common a name in Serbia, even though we've got a lot of players in the Pac-10 with that first name. But he is a terrific defensive player when he's matched up against Quincy Pondexter. He's going to try and get into his body. Matched up against Abdul Gadi, do the same thing. He did a great job against Dwight Lewis of USC.
Isaiah Thomas coming off the screen, misses the 3. They did not shoot the 3 well, even though they hammered Stanford on Thursday.
But you got to like the way Cal has rebounded the basketball so far.
The Cal throwing it away in a couple of possessions. A lot of unforced errors early by the Bears and unable to pull away from the Huskies.
Yeah, this is like, you hear it all the time, though, the first couple of rounds of a big heavyweight fight, the 2 heavyweights, champion contenders trying to feel each other out and kind of keeping their distance from each other. Nobody really taking the game at their opposition at this stage.
Sanders fries it in. He's a 6'8", 265-pound junior, and he's defending Ryan Manning. Thomas trying to get him going.
Well, if Jerome Randall playing defense against Isaiah Thomas is going to go underneath screens, going to be slow and recovering and challenging those 15-foot jump shots, Isaiah Thomas has got to continue to shoot those.
Well, they got the big man going early, and it looked like Mike Montgomery called for the play to get the ball low to the 265-pound center, and now he comes up with a steal, and here comes Jerome behind his back with a pass, and that was a bad decision.
Yeah, a little too callous, carefree with the basketball.
And Isaiah almost got it to fall, and the crowd would have blown the roof off of that one drop.
Like a heat-seeking missile, you got to find the body of your defensive player in transition, going to the basket. A lot of times Isaiah Thomas, like the water theory, takes the path of least resistance. That time went right after Marcuri Frierson to draw the foul. There's a bad pass. There's a nice job in transition by Isaiah Thomas.
And he came back and looked at coach and said, my bad. You're right, it's your bad. Nobody else made the mistake on it. Isaiah Thomas, meantime, the sophomore from Tacoma, came in with 830 points, and that's quite a total for a guy who's just in his second year. And on his Twitter the other day, he tweeted, for all you wondering, I'm staying all 4 years at UW, and maybe even a 5th if I can.
A little interesting conversation going on the bench between Jerome Randall, removed in favor of the freshman Brandon Smith, but there was some question as whether or not he and Mike Montgomery could mesh as a tandem, and he even thought about transferring once Mike Montgomery got the job, but his mom convinced him to at least give Mike Montgomery a chance. He stuck it out and really enjoys playing for Mike Montgomery, but has not been effective. Two bad decisions, bad pass on a turnover out top, and then that behind-the-back pass, terrible decision on Jerome's part.
A walking violation on Sanders Friesen. They've got to him now twice in the last 3 possessions, and he's a guy who only averages 3.5 points per game.
He's got some nice back to the basket skills. He's a wide body, as you talked about. You look at his size at 6'8", about 275 pounds. But if you're Washington, you love the fact that Theo Robertson and Jerome Randall and Patrick Christopher are not touching the basketball.
Knesevich with a foul on Vinoy Overton, and Overton is a guy who brings a lot of energy for Romar off the bench. He calls him his 6th starter. So Knesevich, you do a nice defensive job in their victory over USC on Dwight Lewis in the late stages of that game. May have to go to the sideline, and he will. Second foul on Nicola.
I mean, with their lack of depth, fouls can become an issue for Cal in this game.
Thomas for 3, and that was over the freshman Brandon Smith. Thomas has scored the last 9 Washington points.
And here's Vinoy Overton, 84 feet of pressure against Brandon Smith, the freshman out of Concord de La Salle High School. Let's see how he handles it. Not too well.
Thomas comes up with a loose basketball. The feed to Dexter.
Mike Montgomery concerned about turnovers leading to transition buckets. You see it right there. Brandon Smith coughed the ball up. Mike Montgomery thought he was fouled, but he's going to see that kind of intense pressure, especially from Vinoy Overton all afternoon.
Patrick Christopher's better on the catch and shoot than off the dribble. Nice rebound, and a foul will be called against Washington, as Sanders Friesen very active early in this game.
And Matthew Bryan-Amley's got to do a better job blocking him out, but nice job going into the gut. Brandon Smith cost it up. Isaiah Thomas, the perfect lead to Coupon. Quincy Pondexter doing what he does best, streaking down the middle of the floor in transition.
So here is Mark Curry, Sanders Friesen. He came in overweight, the coaches said. He had a flu that lasted about 2 weeks and then a bad back. But the back problem they really feel is because he's overweight. He's not in shape, and the extra pressure on the lower back. Smith comes out, Randall back in. Washington on a 14-3 run.
He's a guy that's got some stuff. You know, he's got some junk inside. He's got the head fakes. He's got the ability to use a little chicken wing to gain an advantage positionally when he catches the ball in the post. You talk about his condition. He ever gets on top of that like he needs to, he could be an effective college basketball player.
Isaiah,
look at him
go for it. Wow.
That's with a bad back and everything.
Scott Suggs had a big game in their Stanford win, hitting 3 threes, and he hits his first today.
We talked about spacing the other night against Stanford. That was an excellent job of it by Washington. As Suggs fanned out to the three-point line, Amaning went to the basket. Now one defender playing 2. Suggs get the wide open jump shot.
A 17-4 Washington run.
Once again into Friesen on the inside.
Opening up for Theo Robertson, missing the 3, but getting it back. A little garbage play by Patrick Christopher.
And that's okay. I mean, you got 2 guys going aggressively for the defensive rebound, little contact inside. Lorenzo Romar complains about, but you like to see the pursuit of the ball by Washington.
Isaiah has made himself a real force in the early going with 9 straight points. Now Pondexter trying to take Robertson, and he does.
Theo Robertson, Steve, before the game told me his defensive approach to Quincy Pondexter would be to make him a jump shooter, keep him out of the paint. But you got to understand, Quincy Pondexter has improved that area of his game exponentially, tremendously since last year. He's a different player.
And there was a little shove at the end of that, and that will send DJ Seeley to the foul line for 2 shots. How about Isaiah so far?
Isaiah's done a terrific job defensively, offensively, creating space, using his body, go underneath the screen, not get a hand up. Hey, you get that, take that with you, and then young fella, freshman, Brandon Smith, you can't check me.
Washington has an 8-point lead on the California Golden Bears. Our American Airlines flashback takes us back to this matchup last season where it took 3 overtimes to decide it. Eventually, Patrick Christopher's 27 points and 11 rebounds were too much for Washington as Cal won 88-85. Cal, the only Pac-10 team to sweep the Huskies last year, and Patrick Christopher scored his team's first 5 points and has 7 of the team's 11 in this one early. But then all of a sudden they really tighten up the defense on him.
Remember that game last year? It was, I believe, Isaiah Thomas with the bad foul on DJ Seeley when the Huskies had a chance to win that game, either in regulation or one of the first couple of overtimes. So they got swept last year by Cal. So you can understand the respect and appreciation that Lorenzo Romar, his coaching staff, and his team have for the Cal Bears under Mike Montgomery.
Christopher 3 for 5 and 3 rebounds already, including an offensive rebound where he stuck it back in. And Cal will have Seeley at the line. This is the young man you were talking about. At the end of the second overtime, he's the guy who had the tip in, fouled by Thomas, made the free throw, and that sent it to the third overtime where the Bears would win.
Well, Thomas just should have backed off of that play. But hey, you know, as a freshman, you live and you learn. If you're Isaiah Thomas. And great job by this young man out of Stockton, California, to knock down the 2 crunch time free throws.
And we have a whistle and a foul called on Jerome Randall.
Not loving the body language of Jerome Randall so far in this game. He's made a couple of poor passing decisions offensively, and again, you know, he can snap out of a basketball funk just like that. So you're not worried about this being a game time long mood that he's going to be in, but he got to find it soon before Washington puts a little bit more separation between themselves and Cal.
And this dynamic duo of Thomas and Pondexter with 16 of the team's 19 points. Now it's 17 of 20.
And if I think if you're Mike Montgomery, yeah, okay, enough of Jerome Randall maybe trying to get everybody involved here early. Now it's time to call his number a little bit, and he's a guy that feeds off of knocking down shots. 28 points in that second half against Washington State.
Thomas with 11 points in the first half. Also had 11 points in the first half versus Stanford on Thursday. And they hammered the Cardinal, leading 41-22 at the break.
Almost a foot drag travel violation against Jamal Boykins. And talk about hustle and defense. Justin Holiday, did he give this team a lift in that game against Stanford, getting his first start as a college player?
Lorenzo Romar said they really missed him in the desert when he was not able to play because of eligibility issues, but tremendous defense on Fields against Stanford.
Yeah, and learn that defense. Joe Ford is coach at the Boys and Girls Club in Pasadena. That's all they did, work on defense each and every practice.
The Shears back in. We have a whistle. Another foul on California, and they're already in the bonus, so Washington is shooting 1 plus the penalty.
And that's something we talked about, Steve, and you felt that travel from Pullman to Seattle that Thursday, Saturday, and then the early game would have an effect on the energy level of California. I'm thinking they're 17 to 23 years old. What effect? I mean, come on, you should have a bunch of energy, but we can see here early on that they look to be affected by that travel schedule.
Mike said they spent the night in Pullman, then drove to Lewiston, Idaho, flew out of Lewiston, got into Seattle at 1:30, came over, checked into the hotel, and then reported to practice about 4 o'clock here at Bank of America Arena. Went out to dinner, got some sleep, and got up and played an 11:30 in the morning game on the West Coast.
Yeah, but they have not shaken off the cobwebs here early. They just are not playing with the bounce in their step, attacking, aggressive, and you see it in the lack of sharpness in their cuts offensively, working to get each other open and penetrating and kicking for open shots. A team like this, they really need to feed off each other offensively to be effective.
Thomas and Pondexter combined for 20 of their team's 23.
There's a high ball screen. Bashir has got to keep.
Almost another steal.
Turnover, but
they did touch him.
Tyrese Brashears, great defense. He's the guy responsible for forming a bracket around Jerome Randall. Watch Brashear step out, stay in front, force the bad pass the other side, and then Justin Holiday flooding the passing lane, gets a piece of the basketball. So the Brashears was the guy that kept Jerome Randall from turning the corner.
Shears turns to his left. He is tied up defensively. California still can't get into rhythm. They like to run as well. They're averaging almost 80 points per game, but they turn it over again. Brashears.
Pull up, big fella. Pull up, pull up.
Finally, Brashears knocks it down. A pat on the back from his teammate Overton.
Not the ideal guy you want leading the fast break. Tyrese Brashears at 6'7", 255 pounds, but you know, that's the most spectacular thing he did on that play was avoiding the offensive foul, and then it's just out hustling the Cal bigs inside for 1, 2, 3 putback attempts. Finally gets it to go down.
30-second timeout by Cal, so please join us to help the people of Haiti recover from the devastating earthquake that hit their country. Fans, to make a $10 donation to the Red Cross relief efforts, please text the word Haiti to 90999. A $10 donation will be added to your phone bill. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. It has been a terrible situation in that country because of the earthquake, and our prayers and now our offerings are to them.
Yeah, come on, folks, get out of yourselves. Think about other people. They've gone through some tremendous trauma. It'd be nice to help them out down in Haiti.
Meantime, Washington with a 13-point lead over Mike Montgomery's Cal Bears. Washington on a 6-0 run. And there's the big man, Tyrese Brashears, who's done a very nice job starting this game. And Mike Montgomery got a technical foul. That will send Quincy Pondexter to the foul line, an 81% shooter, and he nails the shot.
I think Mike Montgomery, may have been upset at some lack of fouls called by the official against his guys, but also just trying to find a way to fire his team up, especially Jerome Randall.
Well, this is one versus the team everybody expected to be number 2, but it's Washington taking apart California. Steve Physioc with Marcus Johnson. Pac-10 Hoops presented by KFC. We come to you from Seattle and Bank of America Arena. Huskies all over the Bears early.
Lorenzo Romar takes out Isaiah Thomas, puts Benoit Overton on Jerome Randall out top.
Randall's had very little opportunities. Sanders fries it. No.
That's the shot defensively that you want Cal to take every time down offensively. Frierson, long jump shot.
Pondexter spinning back, throwing it up. No, getting his own rebound and sticking it back in. And Washington has their biggest lead of 17 points.
Washington coach Lorenzo Romar has done an outstanding job isolating Quincy Pondexter. He's got the quickness advantage against Jamal Boykin at the 4th spot on the perimeter.
Randall tied up, almost turned it over. They've got no rhythm to their offense.
Nothing. Just totally out of sync. Bad passes, bad decisions, non-aggressive.
Pondexter. He goes down hard on his left side.
Now Curry Sanders Frierson was the culprit defensively in that play. Now, it's not a bad defensive play. He's just trying to keep the house from going down.
And remember, Quincy suffered a slight concussion in the Arizona series in Tucson. Didn't practice that much this week, but he played a great game on Thursday and a hard fall here in the first half.
Yeah, I don't think it was a flagrant foul by Frierson going after the basketball, going after Quincy Pondexter once he tried to catch that lob dunk. It just caught him in that prone position when he was most vulnerable.
What a brilliant job by Washington defensively on Thursday in the first half against Stanford. Cardinal only scored a season low 22 points in the first half, and Washington holding a Cal team that averages almost 80 per game to 12 in the first 11 minutes of this first half.
And Lorenzo Romar doing an outstanding job of substitutions. Now he brings out Brashears, puts Amaning back in the game. Isaiah Thomas is getting a nice rest. Abdul Ghadi's gotten a nice rest. These guys will be fresh for the second half. Another mishandle,
Another turnover. Holiday, yes.
Washington, great game against Stanford in that blowout victory, and you wonder whether or not, are they this good, or is Cal just not having a good basketball game? A little bit of both, but I think Cal has really come out here and walked through the first 12 minutes of this game.
Boykin finally scores that ends a 14-0 run Washington had been on, an identical run that they had on Stanford on Thursday during a 7-minute stretch where the Cardinal could not score.
For Cal, it begins and ends with Jerome Randall offensively. Washington's done a nice job bracketing him.
Oh, everything's going right.
Yeah, soft touch, shooter's bounce, whatever you want to call it.
Quincy's got that look on his face like, I can't believe it went in, but when you're going right, you're going right. Christopher gets fouled.
I'll tell you, these Husky wing defenders do a nice job, Steve, of basically face guarding on the wing to deny an entry pass. And now all of a sudden, as a Cal player, you're caught with the basketball on top, you're stuck, you don't have an outlet to pass to. You got to put it on the floor and make a play. Washington's defense puts the pressure on you to have to continue to make offensive plays. Fortunately for Cal, Patrick Christopher was able to do that on that possession.
Cal is the top free throw shooting team in the league at 75%, but they've made only 4 of 9 in this game. Suggs will lead. And they'll bring in Elston Turner the next opportunity.
But again, shuffling them in and out, keeping bodies fresh, legs fresh, for the type of energy that Washington needs to be effective defensively. Because of the pressure, because of the denial, because of the way they love to get out in transition after they can force a turnover or secure a defensive rebound.
Washington going with Thomas, Brian Ammoning, Benoit Overton, Quincy Pondexter, and Elston Turner. Finally, a forced turnover by California. Patrick Christopher going up strong, and he is fouled. He was clipped on the leg by Overton as he slid towards the hoop.
This Cal team, the story of the game so far, their inability to hang on to the basketball. An unforced turnover, bad decision making on the part of the guards out top. Traveled inside by Frison in top. Jerome Randall behind the back, dribbles it off his backside. That leads to an easy bucket down at the other end. Cal better get your act together, take care of the basketball, or this thing will be over early.
Pac-10 Hoops presented by KFC. That's a look at the University of Washington Library. We're on the campus at UW with the California Golden Bears in town. All Huskies early, 35-16, as Washington trying to even the record at 3-3. This is a wide open Pac-10 race. Washington's been terrific at home, 11-1. Their only loss was to Oregon, and a game probably the Ducks played their best of the year.
2 shots. Yeah, terrific, as we're seeing with the struggles that Oregon is having so far, getting blown out by Arizona State at home on Thursday night. But again, Lorenzo Romar, the coach of Washington, has an advantage depth-wise, and he's taken full advantage of that, the way he shuttled guys in and out in his first half.
That Oregon team you'll see next on Pac-10 Hoops with Arizona at Oregon. There's Benoit Overton down the middle of the floor being defended by Patrick Christopher. All the things that Mike Montgomery told his team would happen have. He said, hey, they want to get in those gaps. They want to drive, penetrate, kick, then hit the glass. Washington's done all those well, and now they're getting easy shots, Marcus.
Well, what's happening, too, I mean, you know, when something like that happens, Matthew Bryant Ammoning at the left elbow, a couple of dribbles, 15-foot jump shot. I mean, things couldn't be much worse for Cal when players like that start making plays like that.
Christopher missing. And Cal is coming in playing so well. They've won 5 of their last 6, and the only loss was a 1-point loss to UCLA at home.
And don't discount the absence of Jorge Gutierrez from the Cal lineup. He is kind of their emotional leader coming off the bench for Cal.
Randall comes in with the loose basketball on the turnover. Ooh, and a slip by Randall and a travel.
But you can see Randall trying, at least mentally, to become more aggressive and attacking the basket. He was thinking about getting there and drawing a foul. lost his footing, but you're going to need him to spearhead this comeback if there is to be one for Cal this afternoon.
Washington leads by 19, and Washington has enjoyed 17 points off 11 California turnovers.
ISO for Pondexter.
And he scored.
ISO for Pondexter matched up against Amandi Amoki. And does a great job with the little fadeaway jump shot that he has worked extremely hard on to create space for himself as a shooter. Another
Carried
turnover
by Randall. That's 12 turnovers.
The Huskies defensively have been the aggressor. Cal has not responded at all. Not only well, but just not at all. You see Friesen go over and grab Sanders Friesen, grab Jerome Randall by the shirt. You know, wake up, snap out of it, get yourself together. We need you.
Time like this, 6 minutes left in the first half. Cal wants to come back just in increments. Have many successes. Another carrying violation. These officials of Scott Thornley, Rick Batzel, and Frank Harvey are calling that one close.
They're going carry crazy out here. But yeah, I mean, you know, you always hear, well, you want to cut it down to this, cut it down to that. I mean, you just want to get a good shot off it. If you're Cal at this point, you want to have a possession where you don't turn the basketball over. You know, you can't ask for too much. That's an offensive foul right there. Another possession, another turnover, no shot for Cal. You just want a shot at the bucket.
You know, Marcus, a lot of people talk about Isaiah Thomas in his offense, and it is sensational. No point about it. He's averaging over 18 points per game. But I think he's very underrated defensively at 5'8".
Underrated? He's not rated at all.
You're right.
As a defensive player, going into the game against Stanford, Lorenzo Romar told us that he would be matched up against Jeremy Green. I thought Lorenzo was nuts. I mean, Isaiah Thomas had to play lockdown defense, but he did that against Jeremy Green. He's done a nice job against Jerome Randall. I mean, he's the kind of guy, kind of young man, Isaiah Thomas, that when you give him a challenge like that, he responds. He steps up to that challenge.
And he's not allowed Randall even to pull up from 25 feet out. His defense has been that tight. Now he gets Brandon Smith, the freshman. Max Zhang has come into the game, the 7'3" sophomore from China.
But make no mistake, see, when you lock up a Jerome Randall, a lot of the credit goes to Isaiah Thomas, as you mentioned, for getting into his body, especially around the 20 to 25 foot mark to keep the three-pointers from raining down. But also that help on the backside has got to be there. We got to keep Randall from turning the corner. The bigs from Washington have done an exceptional job with that here in the first half.
Zhang misses the first of the one plus the penalty.
Talking about making Randall kind of play in a bracket. He's just had nowhere to go.
Turner. 4-3.
Confidence flowing supremely for the University of Washington Huskies. Nelson Turner knocking down a long three. Matthew Brian-Amani knocks down the big shot earlier. I mean, these guys are playing with a high level of confidence offensively. Oh, wow.
Look at that switch on defense. It is a blocking foul, but I like the way Brian-Amani rolled down and switch.
But did you see Max Zhang and the way he just took out Quincy Pondexter with his ball screen? He set a couple of high ball screens that were really impressive for the big fella out of China. There's Pondexter right there. Bam! Just wipes him out inside, and then Robertson gets the blocking call on Matthew Brian-Amani.
Theo Robertson knocks it down. We've got a good bunch of games on this Pac-10 Saturday. We told you about the next game you could watch on Pac-10 Hoops. Oregon and Arizona getting together in Eugene. Arizona State and Oregon State's going to be an excellent game. And how about the big one at Pauley Pavilion tonight? USC and UCLA. Stanford and Washington State also going at it. Abdul Gaddy. Smith grabs the rebound.
Good transition defense by the Huskies. Wow. You think of the Huskies as a transition team in terms of running a fast break, but Cal really thrives off a transition, especially secondary break action. Just absolutely nothing there. Patrick Christopher steps on the end line. Another turnover.
And Mike Montgomery really pleading with the officials to say the defense was forcing our guy out.
It's physical, but I mean, that's the kind of defense that Lorenzo Romar preaches with his basketball team.
Clearing out for Quincy. He passes it up. This is Darnell Gantt. And they will give that basketball to California. Golden Bears down by 22, 4:10 to play in the first half. They want to get some kind of rhythm going as Mike Montgomery's team. This is a team where he said, you know, we don't hit the three, we don't win. And they are 1 for 5 from three-point range. They were fantastic in their win over Washington State, hitting 11 three-pointers in 20 attempts. But they haven't even had a chance to take a good look. Patrick Christopher hit a three in the first 1 minute of the game. They haven't had any good looks since.
Yeah, Patrick Christopher came out aggressive against a freshman from Washington, Abdul Ghadi, but as you talk about it, Omar, I mean, it's no secret. When you want to shut down Cal, you've got to defend the perimeter between Christopher, Randall, Theo Roberts, and even Jamal Boykins in terms of just mid-range jump shots. This is a very, very good shooting basketball team, but as you mentioned, Steve, not many good looks.
That man really held down in the first half. Jerome 0 for 2 from the floor, coming off a 39-point effort, a record-setting performance for him personally at Washington State. 0 in the first half.
And remember, 28 points of those 39 against Washington State came in the second half.
Elston Turner missing the three, running it down. Brandon Smith, they've got the numbers. Smith to the right side, and Christopher can't finish, but he will wind up the line for 2 shots. Cal has not made a field goal the last 4.5 minutes. We'll see if they can in the last 3:46. Washington by 20, a huge first half by Quincy Pondexter. Our Alberto Beef Jerky Alpha play of the game.
Yes, it is indeed. And Quincy Pondexter streaking down the middle of the floor. Good things will happen for you. And nice job delivering the basketball. And he loves to throw it down and throw it down hard because he is a alpha husky.
Washington loves the first half, the last 2 ball games, and he's a big reason why. He has been fantastic. They led Stanford by this identical score at the half, 41-22, excuse me. Today they lead 42-22, and Lorenzo Romar's senior Pondexter 17 first half points on 6 of 9 from the floor, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He's more than halfway to his career high 31 against Texas Tech earlier this year.
This is one of those kinds of games. If you're Lorenzo Romar, you're like, okay, let's quit now. Let's go inside. Call it a game. We're up. We win by 20. Throw in the towel. It's over. But you got to play a second half with the same type of pride, same type of motivation, inspiration, intensity that you played so far in this first half.
Cal on a 6-0 run with the all but on free throws.
You know, Cal, with their seniors, they're not going to quit. They're not going to lie down. You're still going to have to battle. One offensive lapse at your Washington will allow this Cal team to get right back in it.
Darnell Gant slamming it down over Max Zhang at 7-3. That's a moment he'll remember.
D. Gant attacking the hoop.
Zhang back at the line.
And not a good decision to foul Zhang, but watch Darnell Gant right here, a little pick and go on that play, and just quick jumps over the 7 feet 3 inches tall Max Zhang, who in a similar situation actually blocked the dunk by Landry Fields in Cal's Pac-10 season opening win against the Stanford Cardinals. So I mean, he's not like a guy, he's not like dunk bait. He's not just sitting out there waiting to get dunked on. He goes after dunk shots. So good job by Darnell Gant.
California 13 for 20 from the foul line. They came in at 75%. Meantime, Washington has been a perfect 11 for 11.
Max Zhang from Yantai City in China. His mom is here, has been here for 3 months on her annual visit to the States to give him that home cooking that he so loves. He told me shrimp dumplings are his favorite.
Well, Patrick Christopher picks him up after he missed both of his foul shots, so he's got to eat more dumplings. On the drive, too many easy baskets. Montgomery said, hey, they're going to try and get in the gaps, fellas. You got to figure out where they're getting the gaps and get there first.
One of Mike Montgomery's keys was keeping them out of the paint. Abdul Ghadi has really shown an ability to get there these last couple of games.
Smith is fouled. He's back at the line. Maybe they can come back by getting Washington in foul trouble right now. Brian Ammoning is the only man with 2 fouls. Big 3 need to get going for Cal. Look at Jerome Randall, came in averaging 20 and scored 39, a career high in his last game. Shut out with 7 turnovers.
7 turnovers in the first half from Jerome Randall. But again, you got to hold another 20 minutes to be played, so there is time for him to redeem himself. But Mike Montgomery, I think, doing the smart thing, just kind of sitting him out maybe for the rest of this half in favor of Brandon Smith, just to chill him out and let him regroup mentally.
John gets it back. Almost throws it away, but Brandon Smith trying to work around that sideline. Stepped on the sideline as Vinoy Overton just set himself, did not move.
Sometimes there's just no place to go, Steve. Like Richard Gere in Officer and Gentleman, I got nowhere to go. He's got nowhere to go. And he's trying to shoehorn himself on that sideline in between Overton and the sideline, and it's just not happening for him.
Do you remember every line from every movie?
Only the ones that mean something to me.
An officer and a gentleman. It is a 20-point Washington lead. Pondexter doubled. He knows somebody's got to be open. He fades to his left and misses, and Christopher rebounds. 2:15 to play. Patrick missing the 3. And it looked like Gant was shoving Zhang.
Shoving, holding, pushing, face guarding, doing what he can to keep the 7-3 Max Zhang from being effective offensive rebound.
Our Acura halftime report is coming your way, fans. We'll also have a first half recap. It's going to all be about Washington as they have hammered California, forcing Cal to 15 first half turnovers. Points off turnovers, 19. And the lead is 20.
You got to be majorly disappointed if you're the Cal coaching staff. Yeah, I know the travel is not the ideal, but teams have done that before. It's not the first time. But for this team to come out with a lack of energy and focus, and for this player Jerome Randall to have 7 turnovers, probably 4 of those just bad decisions, it's just inexcusable. As good a player as he is, as good a team as this is.
Marcus, Bernie Kent's Oregon Ducks had a game first at Washington State in 2 overtimes that took them to win, and then they came here and played a fantastic game and beat the Huskies on their home court.
I knew you'd come up with it. See, it's been done. It's been done. It can be done.
Bushiers. No. Pondexter. And a whistle and a foul call, sending Quincy back to the foul line. And Lorenzo Romar, proud of the effort his team playing with. Quincy has 17 points. He's made all 5 of his foul shots.
17 points already. First half, still a little under 2 minutes to be played for Quincy Pondexter. And they're quiet 17, which means it's nothing for it. It's all been within the flow. Those are kind of 17 points that 18 now that I didn't notice that he had.
And he is all about leadership. I mean, just watching him at practice, the way he was talking to his teammates, that's the senior captain you want him to be. And I saw that growth with Brandon Roy under Lorenzo Romar, and I saw similar growth leadership-wise with Quincy Pondexter in his time here.
Sometimes it stays to stay around for your senior year.
Theo Robertson. Ooh, nice tip in, this time by Patrick Christopher with his right hand. Here's Quincy.
Mid-range game.
It up. 21 for Pondexter.
Career first half high for Quincy Pondexter. His previous high was 20 points. 21 points in the first half.
Christopher stuffed by Gaddy, but a foul.
And Patrick Christopher is the one guy showing some heart, some intensity, as he keeps attacking, offensive rebounds, off the dribble, doing what he can to try and manufacture some points for his team.
He's the senior from Compton Dominguez High School. Had a great game at Washington State, scoring 21 points and 7 of 13 off from the floor after only scoring 6 against USC. Quincy, another spectacular first half. He has 41 in his last 2 halves.
He's doing it in a variety of different ways. And the one way that I love watching him do most is that mid-range jump shot. That's going to carry him far in his post-collegiate career.
He only had 6 in the first half against Stanford, then 21 in the second half, finished with 27. Frank Harvey over with official Rick Batzel. Foul goes against Abdul Gaddy, his second. Good games around college basketball today. Number 1 Texas in action against A&M. We've got Kentucky at Auburn and Kansas playing Texas Tech. Those are the 3 top teams in America. Here in the Pac-10 Conference, the preseason picks were California number 1, Washington number 2, but Washington looking like they're the number 1 team. Shears against Jean. No. Brandon Smith now in the game with Jerome Randall moving off to the 2-guard spot. Benoit Overton defending Jerome. And a foul on Quincy Pondexter that will send Theo Robertson to the line. The only way that Cal is even remaining close is from the foul line. They have had 27 shots from the free throw line and only 19 from the field.
And that's a nice job by Theo and a nice job by Mike Montgomery setting up some top of the key ISO for Theo Robertson. But as a defender, you know he wants to go right hand. You know he has a tendency to shot fake when he's coming off the dribble like that. You got to stay down and play tough position defense. Good job Theo getting himself to the free throw line. Young man that has battled some an assortment of injuries during his time at Cal. Has one of the higher basketball IQs of players in the Pac-10.
Cal has missed 13 foul shots in this game. Here's Isaiah Thomas missing, rebounding Suggs. Another second opportunity for the Huskies. Christopher getting out defensively on Quincy Pondexter with a remarkable first half. And now they can take the last shot of the half, leading by 19.
That's one of the rare times you see a college coach kind of go 2 for 1 in that situation. They get the quick shot off the flat screen up, get the offensive rebound, and now they're going to halftime with an opportunity to expand this lead.
Will they go to the mighty Quincy?
I don't see why not.
Overton on the drive. Jean picks it off. Here's Robertson, who will take the last. No, he didn't get it off. And they say Suggs did not foul him. A tremendous first half by Lorenzo Romar's Huskies. And that man with 21 points, 5 rebounds. That's the end of the first half with the score. Washington 50, California 31. When we return, it's time for the Acura halftime report.
Oh, Isaiah is a tremendous player. Sometimes I look back and like, man, you see that move he just did, but I'm on the court, so I can't really be a fan and react too much, but he's a tremendous player. He makes so many incredible plays that many people can't make no matter what size they are.
Quincy Pondexter on Isaiah Thomas. That pair has combined for 41 of the team's 59 points.
Yeah, he's a tough little cookie. I mean, you know, you saw him create space using his body. Doesn't back down from any kind of a challenge. Just asked Jeremy Green, who came into the game on Thursday night for Stanford on the heels of a 30-point outburst against UCLA. Had a tough time finding an open look, and he is thoroughly frustrated Jerome Randall, Isaiah Thomas, has in this ball game.
Wasn't Ernie Kent of Oregon called Million Moves?
Yeah.
Maybe Thomas.
Yeah, he's got a bunch. He definitely has more than Ernie Kent had as a college player.
Yeah, but all those moves have caught up with Ernie's knees. Oregon's got to face Arizona. Excellent freshman class.
Yes, indeed.
Thomas works against the screen set by Pondexter, then takes it in. This is off the fade, but picked up by a teammate, and still they cannot get it to fall. Here comes Theo Robertson down the other end.
And the Huskies, you see 4 white shirts back in the painted area. Their transition defense has been outstanding, and Cal thrives off of those quick early shots in transition.
Smith threw it away, and good coverage by Scott Suggs to recognize where the defender was and fill the gap.
Yeah, well, great job by Scott Suggs protecting the basket. You know, if you're out of position, if you can't find a man, your first responsibility defensively on the weak side, go to the hole, protect against an easy score inside. Oh, that was a travel, not called.
It will be a hell ball situation. The basketball will still belong in the hands of California. But man, just the way you go on the road, if you can hold your home court, you got a great chance to win this thing, because this league is up for grabs. Through the first 2 weeks of Pac-10 play going into Thursday, each team had posted at least one league win. And since the Pac-10 expanded to its current 10-team membership in 78-79, it's the earliest that all the teams had posted a league victory. Parity is the theme for the Pac-10 this year. Jerome Randall still has not scored. He is 0 for 3 after a 39-point game at Washington State. Dexter trying to back down Theo. Benoit Overton.
Nice ball movement, nice sharing of the basketball. We had a couple of guys, Scott Suggs, Matthew Bryant, Amaning, that could have forced shots up. And the Huskies retained possession as the officials changed their mind, but that's the Huskies working the offensive glass.
And the officials change. One of the officials overruled the other, gave it back to Washington. New shot clock. Overton with the right hand banks it off the glass.
The natural lefty, Benoit Overton, 5'11" junior out of Franklin High School here in Seattle, loves using the right hand when he attacks the basket. Very adept at finishing with that right hand inside.
And Overton and Thomas best friends, and here comes Isaiah in the middle of the pack, rebounding and then getting slammed down. But I was going to talk about Isaiah and Benoit Overton. They were the featured stars in high school, and Overton's team beat Isaiah Thomas for the state championship in a game that Isaiah scored 51 points. And now they're playing for the same squad for Lorenzo Romar.
Yeah, that's kind of the good news, bad news. That I dropped 51, but we lose the game. But when they're on the floor together with Isaiah Thomas is focused defensively, that makes this team on-ball pressure, on-ball defense out top tough to deal with.
Randall grabs the miss. Jerome still has not scored, and he suffered 8 turnovers. Here's the drive, knocked away by Brian Amaning. And they say when he knocked it away and grabbed it, he was already out of bounds. So it'll be Cal basketball trailing by 23.
Good weak side help. Matthew Bryant, Amaning. He was got the highlight reel dunk over Drew Schiller in the game against Stanford. Nice backflow defensive help for the block shot against Jerome Randall. And then there he is right there. All up over the basketball. Smothering Patrick Christopher.
This is the way Lorenzo Romar expected this Husky team to play. Brian Amaning travels. Cal ball, 13:42 left. Please join us, fans, to help the people of Haiti recover from the devastating earthquake that hit their country. To make a $10 donation to the Red Cross relief efforts, please text the word Haiti to 90999. A $10 donation will be added to your phone bill. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Washington with a 61-38 lead over California.
Again, good activity on defense by the Huskies. Nice job, Quincy Pondexter, hedging the high ball screen, and then terrific rotation on the pass to the corner to Jerome Randall.
Theo Robertson.
That's how you got to stay down. First half, Pondexter got a foul jumping in the air.
Theo misses the easy layup. And this has just been a miserable afternoon for the Cal Bears. Outside of Patrick Christopher, the rest of the team has gone 3 for 16 from the floor. Defense.
Bears showing some scraps, some hustle, some fight inside. You got to make that shot if you're Theo Robertson. Does a nice job on that second attempt. And then it's just bodies on the ground pursuing the basketball. Jump ball call, possession arrow pointing toward the Cal way.
Pondexter and Overton leave. And it looked like Suggs may have grabbed Christopher as he went by a screen. Now, Isaiah Thomas is the guy doing most of the complaining. But I thought the foul went against Scott Suggs.
Yeah, obvious call. You can't grab a guy's jersey. as Suggs did defensively. So, I mean, is it intent? Maybe that's intentional. It could be an intentional foul called on Suggs. I mean, yeah, you can't do that. You just can't grab. That's a surefire way to get an intentional foul. One thing to kind of push you from behind or use a lot of contact from behind, but just to reach out and grab the jersey.
Are you surprised the way California's played this afternoon?
I am shocked and amazed. I thought that they had found their stride. You know, I thought that they would try and put themselves in a position to gain a little separation. And you know, just thought that this would be a lot more competitive basketball game. Forget the fact, Mike Montgomery would be the first to tell you, Washington's tough to beat at home. They're a tough matchup for his team based on the way they play. They make you have to make plays off the dribble outside.
Cal was the only team in the Pac-10 to sweep the Washington schools on the road last year, including Cal coming in here and winning in 3 overtimes in a beautifully played game, 88-85.
And more surprised, Steve, just at the inability of Jerome Randall to find any kind of offensive rhythm. Now give Washington a lot of credit. The high ball screens have been a moot point for Cal in this game, but he's usually you know, a player who can find ways to manufacture scoring opportunities for himself.
Abdul Gaddy. Away, and a foul will be called against Max Chong. Cal came in #1 at 3-1, but look at all the teams with only 2 losses, from Arizona State all the way down to UCLA. Bruins will host USC later today. And then you've got Washington, who is likely going to go and even the record at 500 with a win here. And then they will go to UCLA in a game you can watch on Pac-10 Hoops next Thursday. And I'm sure Ben Howland, who's preparing only for the Trojans, he's a one-game-at-a-time coach. I'm sure when that game is over with USC, he will talk to his fellas and show them this video and say, we're in for a buzzsaw when Washington comes to Pauley.
Come into town Thursday for a 7:30 p.m. matchup against the Bruins. Another turnover. Another example of Washington getting down and dirty on the floor. Another job of great ball movement, great vision by Isaiah Thomas. Now, Abdul Gaddy is not anything spectacular, but he's played a real solid game this afternoon. I think he's really starting to come into his own as a collegiate basketball player.
Jerome Randall with his first field goal and points of the day.
But he's got the kind of scoring mentality where he can rattle off serious points in a hurry. Jerome Randall, if you're not careful, if you don't stay focused on him defensively and keep doing the same thing that you've done for the first, you know, 20, 30 plus minutes of this game.
That young man sitting on 18 points with 5 rebounds, a couple of assists, and outstanding defense. I think that's where he shined the most, defending Jerome Randall. Much has been said about this being an off year for the Pac-10 Conference, but I'll tell you what, fans, it is extremely young and talented. I was looking today, 5 of the top 10 scorers, rebounders, and assist men are underclassmen, freshmen or sophomores. And that's one of the sophomores, Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, this Husky lineup, Quincy Pondexter, he's the lone senior. You know, it was just filled with freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores, juniors.
Randall has hit his second field goal. That's a 3.
He gets one more. You might need to call a timeout.
Abdul Gaddy missing, but they need to have it one and done. Instead, Washington has another opportunity to work the clock and score again. Thomas misses, but they'll have 3 attempts.
But I think Washington needs to show just a bit more patience. I mean, nice job running down the long offensive rebounds, but a little bit more patience now at this point in the game.
Huskies are happy today. Stone cold outside, though. Last week versus Arizona State and Arizona, Quincy only averaged 8 points per game. The last 2 games averaging 25. We told you he suffered a slight concussion on a fall in Tucson. Was limited in practice this week, but came out with a spectacular game. 27 points, 10 rebounds, his 6th double-double this year against Stanford. And tonight he has 23 and 5, and he's seeing the rim pretty good, going 9 of 9 from the foul line.
It is indeed, but it's now or never time for the Cal Bears.
Thomas with the foul.
Now or never. Either they're going to make a stand, put their foot down, you know, try and battle and fight and get themselves back in the game, or wave the white flag and throw in the towel. But now is the time they've got to do something, one or the other.
Isaiah Thomas, good defense on Jerome. Then he gets another screen, gets it to Jean, who can't score. And Max will wind up at the free throw line.
And, you know, and if that possession is any indication, they're not ready to quite give up just yet.
This February, America's sport comes home as NASCAR goes back to its roots with racing like it's meant to be. And it all starts with the Great American Race. The 2010 season of NASCAR on Fox begins February 14th with the Daytona 500. And one of the things I like about Isaiah Thomas, we were talking with Lorenzo, and he said he's the best at getting through screens defensively, and the stops he put on Jeremy Green Thursday and what he's done with Jerome Randall. Those are the things that don't wind up in the box score.
Yeah.
Seen a ton of free throws, 37 by California, 19 by Washington. Jam on Thursday and throws another down on Saturday afternoon.
Crank up the highlight reel again. He had a highlight jam, as you mentioned, against Drew Schiller at Stanford, and that thing there, he threw that down about 4 feet away from the basket.
Knesevich is fouled by Abdul Gadi.
I mean, it wasn't really a dunk. I mean, he just kind of threw it down, just raised up, threw it downward toward the basket, and goes in for him. I don't think his hands made contact with the rim on the play. You know, he's too far out to make contact.
That's the way they hope he will play, because he's one of their true post players with athleticism. They lost John Brockman, who averaged 11.5 rebounds per game last year with Justin Denton. And it hurt him a little bit, that kind of energy and leadership inside. Thomas has it partially blocked by Max Jean. Randall, short, Gaddy rebounds. Huskies by 27, nearing the 10-minute mark of the ball game. He's feeling it.
He is really feeling it. As you mentioned, Matthew Brown, they've been looking for a third scoring option to complement Pondexter Thomas. And Matthew Brian Ammoning has given him that this game.
He was the Connecticut High School Player of the Year, extremely talented. And I think they're still waiting for him to show greater consistency for 40 minutes in a game. If he does that, Washington can repeat as Pac-10 champions. Pondexter has been the measure of consistency throughout the last couple of seasons. He has a 23-point game. Brian Ammoning now with 6 points to go with 5 rebounds.
And has just played Matthew Brian Ammoning, just strong, physically aggressive basketball inside. He's pursued on some shot block attempts. He made some hard fouls when necessary, which is always a good thing.
Mike Montgomery of California talking with the officials going over to the official scorekeeper, I think to make sure about who that violation was against.
We've had the veritable foul fest. 40 fouls called in this game this afternoon.
Boykin with a rare make, as Jamal has just his second field goal. He came in averaging 11.4 and has 4 points. Holiday down low, Brian Manning, and he throws it down.
You know, you wonder if Cal maybe is going to go into some full court pressure to speed up Washington, but Washington doesn't need to be speeding up. They're taking quick shots as it is.
Christopher, no. He'll be at the line for 2 shots.
As long as those shots fall, I mean, it keeps you in good stead with this huge lead. But nice job on the post up against Jamal Boykins, using the body, using the seal. Great feed to the target hand on the bounce pass inside.
Patrick Christopher is about almost the entire California offense. He misses a foul shot. He's 11 of 15 from the foul line, 22 points. And the rest of the team doesn't have much. And Brian Ammoning now comes out. Darnell Gant back in. (71-48). Washington putting a blitzkrieg on the Bay Area schools. Gant, wide open.
Again, you don't have to be concerned with kind of slowing down the Huskies. They get the open shots, they're taking it, and why not when they're falling like that? Darnell Gant has improved his mid-range jump shooting ability.
Knesevich stepped on the end line. Another turnover for California, and they have suffered 20 now in the ball game.
That used to be in the old days, the old force out play, and now you get a little bit more pressure on you as a ref. You got to call a foul or call a guy for stepping on the out of bounds line, and we've seen about 4 or 5 of those against Cal this afternoon.
Thomas will wind up at the free throw line.
What I talked about, when you trail Isaiah Thomas, now all of a sudden he is curling into the paint with his left hand, and he is such a creative finisher who has a great ability when he wants to get himself to the free throw line.
Well, this is a big recruiting weekend for the football team. Steve Sarkisian here at the ball game today, and Isaiah Thomas was saying the other day that he wants to play football for Sark. Yeah. He said he was a really good running back, defensive back growing up. He said his favorite team, though, is the Denver Broncos, not Pete Carroll's Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, but he takes one good hard lick from one of those college-level linebackers. He'll go and grab the pom-pom from the cheerleaders and start cheering on the sideline.
All I can tell you, when Nate Robinson was a cornerback, I thought he was the best cornerback in the Pac-10, and then he left to pursue just basketball. Patrick Christopher, Long, Overton, Holiday, finish.
No slowdown in the Husky game. You know, and when it's going like it's going for them this afternoon, it doesn't seem to need to be. You would think they maybe run some time off the clock, be a little bit more deliberate in their attack, but very difficult for them to put on the brakes.
Randall missing the 3. Jerome has had a tough afternoon. Now 1 of 7 from three-point range. The result is another Husky easy basket, and they push the lead to 77-48. Bank of America Arena is impressed. After struggling in the desert, all Huskies Thursday against Stanford and Saturday against Cal. See that young lady right there? That is Lorenzo Romar's daughter, Taylor, the coach of the Huskies. His daughter is a cheerleader, and she's enjoying this one as the Huskies have a huge lead in the Cal Bears, who came in the #1 team in the Pac-10. And Marcus, the Pac-10 conference is always called the Conference of Champions. And we just want to remind our fans in a few moments, some of you will be leaving us to join that Arizona-Oregon game. But the conference has won 15 national titles, of course 11 by the UCLA Bruins. But to tell you how good it has been, as Gant shoves it down, just last week it snapped the streak of the Pac-10 teams being in the Associated Press poll by 431 straight weeks. Gant with the block, and we'll be right back. Washington big over California, 77-48. It's time for our Motel 6 sixth man of the game.
It's been Matthew Brian Ammoning. Doing a little bit of everything. Some defense on the block shot, smothering the basketball. Here the throwdown on 7-3 Max Young. Nice job back to the basket. Great post-ups, and this has been terrific 6-man production by Matthew Bryan Ammonate.
Hotel 6, proud sponsor of the Pac-10 Conference. We'll leave the light on for you. He has lit it up for Washington.
The lights come on for the Huskies these last 2 games, I'll tell you that.
You know, they'll be back in the top 25 because they are a top 25 team. This is extremely talented, but they just have to play with a level of consistency. Yeah. Defensively, we've seen the last 2 games.
This is not a go through the motions, show up and come out with a W type of basketball team, which there aren't any in the Pac-10 this season.
Christopher right side. And a lot of fans might go, well, Cal came in with 5 losses, but yes, fans, 4 of those losses came to top 20 teams like Kansas, Syracuse, good ball clubs.
Yeah, and a lot of those losses without Theo Robertson,
yeah.
You know, they're key performers, even though he struggled in this game. Another hold on the outside. That time Quincy Pondexter, but I don't think a intentional will be called on that play. No jersey pulling going on.
Quincy Pondexter, that's his 3rd personal foul. 9 team fouls.
Quincy's 3rd personal, 9-team. Christopher at the foul line.
Could you imagine where Cal would be without all the free throws they've shot in this game?
That's Patrick Christopher.
After getting swept in the desert, I beg your pardon, Washington last week fell out, and they were tied for 44th in the Associated Press rankings. Arizona State was a bit higher at 39, and then an impressive win on Thursday at Oregon State. Thomas. Inside 7 to go.
And now taking a little bit more time off, a little more deliberate offensively. Again, good transition defense by the Huskies. 3 shirts, white shirts back in the paint. Theo Robertson forces up the bad shot.
Quincy, his foul. That trio that came in so strong, Randall averaging 20, Christopher 16, and Theo Robertson, the only guy who really reported today. Christopher's with 25, and look at the game for Jerome Randall. 5 points and 9 turnovers. 4th foul on Jerome.
Number 15, Scott Suggs.
And you can throw Jamal Boykin in that mix. He's got 4 points today, and he's another guy that averages double figures for this Cal team, who, you know, you look to depend on to give you double figure scoring night in and night out.
Cal with 42 free throws. Washington has 23, and they've made 19. B.J. Seeley banks it in.
3-pointer for DJ Seeley off the glass.
Pondexter tied up.
Good job not forcing up shots, taking some time off the clock. Thomas almost in trouble. Pondexter bails him out.
Dan tried to finish and said it's Suggs. Count it. Chance for 3.
There's an offensive rebounding that Mike Montgomery was so concerned about. And Pondexter makes it happen by an aggressive drive to the basket. Forces the help by Jamal Boykin. Nobody left the block off to Darnell Gant. Keeps it alive, and Scott Suggs reaps the benefits.
Scott Suggs, a young man out of Washington, Missouri, but when Lorenzo Romar was a coach at St. Louis, Scott met him at the age of 11 at a family function and said, "Coach, I want to play for you." Well, Romar kept his eye on him, watched him grow up in Missouri, and did recruit him. And now he's contributing for the Huskies, and Pondexter comes out with a 25-point, 5-rebound night.
Back-to-back superb performances by Quincy Pondexter, who was a bit down in Arizona in 2 losses.
Patrick Christopher, just one shy of his career best, scored 29 against USC last year. Thomas throws it away. Sealy, nice play.
It's one thing you got to guard against. I mean, yeah, you still have the 23-point lead at this stage of the game, but you still want your team to play with the sharpness, the crispness, the attitude that they played with to gain that lead. There's a little bit of a letdown on the part of some of the passes, some of the plays by Isaiah Thomas out here.
And it's that little attention to detail that carries over to the next game because they go on the road to UCLA and USC.
I think Omar doing the smart thing, taking him out, but this is a great momentum builder going into the Los Angeles road trip for this basketball team. Obviously, to squash Stanford the way they did, then to come out here and just totally surprise myself, a lot of people, by the way they play against Cal.
Because it would appear to be a bit of a mismatch as far as athleticism. Washington favoring over UCLA, because UCLA normally a great defensive team, and we're not seeing that individual defense this year like we have seen in the past. Although this is the youngest team that Ben Howland has ever had, even going back to his Northern Arizona days.
And because of that lack of athleticism, UCLA playing a lot of zone.
But UCLA coming to the Pacific Northwest to recruit. They got a young man by the name of Josh Smith, big center, coming in next year.
Yep. Right in the Huskies' own backyard. Big body, quick off his feet, strong hands. Tyler Lamb, a player out of Modern Day High School. Been watching the last couple of years. Very athletic wing player with the ability to shoot the basketball.
They got the point guard of the junior college ranks. Zeke Jones.
Yep, Zeke Jones.
There's a lot of skill coming out of this Seattle, Washington area, and I just wonder if it's because of the rain, Marcus, where kids have to play indoors, basketball court, work on your game. It seems like the last 20 years, a lot of talent has come from this city.
Well, it's always rain, so
exactly.
But George Karl, when he was coach of the Sonics in the early to mid '90s, put a lot of money into his Friends of Hoop program and developed just this killer traveling team mentality. They were allowed to use the Sonic facilities when they were here in town, and then other traveling teams kind of followed suit.
Suggs misses.
But they produced the Michael Dickersons and the Jason Terrys and people like that from this area.
And they thought Abdul Gaddy would be going to Arizona, but then he chose, when they did not have a coach, to come here to Washington. And Theo Robertson missing. Right now it's crazy time here at Bank of America Arena. And I'm sure Coach Romar wants them to clean things up. 3 minutes and 43 seconds left in this ball game as Washington tries to get their team back to 500. Huskies by 22 over California. Time now for the winning touch from Touch of Gray from Just for Men.
Quincy Pondexter, 25 points in this game. Great from the free throw line, all 11, and just kind of some carryover from how he dominated the Stanford game with 27 points in that game.
Pretty impressive last two games, averaging 88 points per game, but their pressure defense is back. I mean, the last two games, Washington has forced 41 turnovers and have scored 46 points off of those turnovers.
After their 3-game losing streak to Oregon and then the Arizona schools, Lorenzo Romar talked about taking this team back to school, back to basketball class, Husky basketball 101.
Coach Romar said they had their best, most intense practice of the year on Tuesday. Yep. Overton leaving. Gaddy back on. Elston Turner also in the game with Suggs, Clarence Trent, and Matthew Bryan Ammoney. But the duo of Pondexter and Thomas today have combined for 45 of the team's 82 points. Knesevich missing. Boykin has it ripped by Turner. Suggs, Clarence Trent, no, and Suggs has a go out of bounds to California. Marcus, does it go back to who wins this year, Holden home court?
I'd love to say that, but this is
a weird year.
It's been a weird year, unpredictable so far, and it's still early. But yeah, that's always a big part of it. And if you can, so for Cal, I mean, you know, as long as they can.
Cal really tough at home.
Yeah, do well.
They lose to UCLA at Haas Pavilion. And Lorenzo Romar is not used to beating Mike Montgomery's teams. Last time, 2004, against #1 Stanford. You know, he had some great teams at Stanford, no question about it. Led the Cardinals to 12 NCAA tournament appearances, including that 1998 Final Four.
With all the standard stuff, I mean, holding home court advantage, you know, point guard leadership, senior leadership. I don't know how much of that applies to this Pac-10 race this season based on what we've witnessed here in just the third week of Pac-10 play. UCLA beating Cal, Cal getting blown by Washington, the way they're getting blown out in this game.
Marcus, do you think it's because it is more of a freshman-sophomore dominated league this year where you'll find that inconsistency with underclassmen?
Yeah, and also, I mean, you look at a lot of the rosters and you know, they're top-heavy with two primary scorers. That's why you would think Cal would fare a lot better. I mean, Washington, UCLA, Oregon, a lot of schools that are finding it difficult to generate scoring from that third option. And so it makes it easier to the game plan defensively to shut down two guys and then to really focus your energy on shutting down two talented offensive players and making those guys who are not used to putting up points have to beat you off the bench.
Well, I know Pondexter has certainly done a remarkable job in the two games, but if there's a line, a stat that's never recorded, it's the defensive job that Thomas did on two outstanding scores this week. Green of Stanford and Randall of Cal. Randall scores 39 on Thursday at Washington State, and Jerome with only 5 against Washington and Jerome and Isaiah Thomas. Brian Ammoning.
Another solid move in the post, but your points well taken, Steve. So now, when you got an Isaiah Thomas, you could stick on Jeremy Green, you could stick him tonight on Jerome Randall. Now your best defensive player, Justin Holiday, you can play him against Landry Fields. You can play him against Theo Robertson and allow him to shut down that real crucial kind of a guy who's off the basketball.
Washington with an 84-63 lead, 1.5 minutes remaining in this game. As Cal will fall to 11-6 and 3-2, and Washington will up their record to 12-5 and back to 500 at 3-3. Here's our man, Brendan Shear. Well, he came in about this mark in the Stanford game, and he got a rebound but did not score.
He's got to be under explicit orders to be greedy. Get out there and get him a shot up. His teammates have got to help him out and look for him.
He was setting too many screens.
He's got to make himself available too. He's going to bury himself under the basket against 7'3" Max Young. It's not going to happen for him. He's just trying to be the team guy. He's not thinking about shooting.
Oh, they're trying to get it to him. Scott Suggs doing the job. Ahead it goes Knesevich, and Suggs fouls him, and Nikola will try and answer with a three-point play. But this is about memories. I mean, you got a game like this, you have a chance to tell your grandkids that I scored on a guy 7'3" from China.
If that happens, you can't tell that story.
Yeah.
But
you got to take the shot.
Or you can tell him that 7'3" guy from China, Max Young, he blocked like 3 of my shots, man, down in garbage time. I had a ball. I had a good time, though.
Well, if you heard our Thursday game, we told you about Brendan. He made the team in open tryouts in October that Lorenzo Romar always has.
Under a minute to play.
They got it to Shear. He took the shot, misses. Oh, and it's off his hands. And it will be an over and back violation. Arizona's jumped up early on the Oregon Ducks. Man, the Ducks have had a hard time starting games of late. They had that game that we did against Oregon State. First 7 possessions, they made 7 turnovers.
Yeah, turning the basketball over. Their point guard Malcolm Armstead has played so much more effectively on the road than he has at home. Michael Dunnigan can't seem to keep himself out of foul trouble. Teams are going right at him early.
Turner almost got the steal. Foul called. Goes against Clarence Trent. We thought this would be a close game, the way Cal had been playing, and coming off an impressive win at Washington State, where they beat the Cougars 93-88 in Pullman. Mike Montgomery's team hit 11 of 23 pointers today, 5 for 19 because of that relentless defensive pressure by Washington, and it really never been a game.
Yeah, regroup time for the Cal Bears. They have the Oregon schools at home next week in Pac-10 basketball. And as you talked about, Stevie, you know, you win those two, you're still in a great position if you're Cal, but you got to be disappointed with the lack of effort in this ball game.
They've got 10 seconds to get it to Brendan Shear.
He's got to pull out to the three-point line.
Lorenzo saying, you know what, we're not going to do that.
Got to deal with Max Young. But a great effort by the Huskies in this game. Great defense, bottling up Jerome Randall, getting contributions from Quincy Pondexter like you'd expect, but other guys like Matthew Bryan Omling that you wouldn't expect. And then once again, as we've talked about, Isaiah Thomas showing his abilities as a terrific on-ball defensive stopper.
First time in 3 years that Washington beat both Stanford and California at home in the same season. A huge game for Pondexter and Thomas, 45 points combined. That's it from Seattle, where the final score is Washington 84, Cal 69. Stay tuned for more Pac-10 college basketball as Arizona battles Oregon. Then at 8:30 Eastern, the women take the court as Oregon State takes on Arizona State. Check your local listings. For Marcus Johnson, I'm Steve Pizziak. So long, everyone.